Houston, I think we have a problem here because apparently I like to collect protein powder flavors. But today, I'm gonna prove that they can be so much more than just shakes. We're gonna turn those tubs into these bakery style cookies that are tender, cake-like, and low carb. Hi, I'm Tina, and on this channel, I share high protein, low carb recipes that taste good. I eat low carb because I have to. I have reactive hypoglycemia, and a low carb diet is the treatment. We'll go ahead and start today off with the chocolate cake cookie. And that starts with 1 1/4 cup of almond flour. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in the sifter. And we're gonna follow this up with 1/2 cup, which ends up being 60 grams of the chocolate protein powder. I really like to use the PE Science brand of protein powder in my baked goods. And obviously I bake a lot with protein powder, but it just leads to a much better texture on your baked goods because whey can be a little bit dry and casein can be a little wet. So when you combine the two, it just gives you the best texture when you're baking with protein powder. Now we're gonna go ahead and follow this up with a 1/2 cup of allulose. Then 1/3 cup of cocoa powder. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. And then we got 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So this last ingredient I have here is a 1/2 teaspoon of espresso powder. And it is optional, you don't have to put it in there, but it does bring out the chocolatiness of the chocolate cake cookies. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that 1/2 teaspoon in. Okay, I highly suggest always sifting almond flour. It just gets out the lumps and the clumps and it gives you a better texture on your cookie. So I'm gonna go ahead and sift this up and we'll be right back to do the wet ingredients. All right, now that we got this all sifted up, we just need to get the wet ingredients together. And we're gonna start that off with 2 eggs. Funny enough, I started my protein powder collection back during the COVID days when the Ninja Creamy came out, and I was trying to make snacks with that, so I had all different kinds of flavors. We are going to put an entire stick of butter in here as one of our wet ingredients. And I know that seems excessive, but they are cookies and butter makes everything better. We're gonna add in 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Now I have made these with regular milk and with 1/2 and 1/2. I like them best with the heavy cream just because they're a little richer, but they taste really super good with milk and 1/2 and 1/2 too. So no worries there. The last thing we're gonna put in is 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, so we'll go ahead and mix this up. We're gonna pour the wet ingredients into the dry flour that we've sifted, and we're just gonna stir it together until it's just combined. Now, right before it comes completely together, I'm gonna go ahead and stir in 1/3 cup of the no sugar Lily's chocolate chips. That's optional, you don't have to stick those in there, but I like the melty chocolate when I bite into the cookie with those. So I'm gonna go ahead and add those in and just kind of mush them in there. Making sure everything is wet and incorporated, and then we're going to let this sit in the refrigerator for 10 minutes. And that's gonna allow the almond flour to soak in all of the liquids and give us a better bake on these cookies. Now that the dough's ready, we can get our cookies on the cookie sheet. Lined it with parchment paper. And a good tip from my black bottom burnt cookie era is to use a double cookie sheet. It keeps them from getting too dark on the bottom. So we're gonna scoop these out with a cookie scoop. And this recipe just happens to give us 20 cookies, and 20 cookies is what we fit on this cookie sheet. We're gonna do 5 across and 4 down. The good thing about almond flour cookies is they don't spread like normal flour cookies do, so you can put them a lot closer together and you can fit more on the sheet. You know, since they don't spread like a normal cookie, we're gonna wanna flatten them some so that they're not these little round balls. So I'm just gonna press them out into more of a cookie shape, and just dampening your finger with water helps keep the dough from sticking to them. So we'll just run through this. I've already preheated my oven to 350, and now I'm gonna pop these in there for 10 to 12 minutes, and we'll see you shortly. All right, here we go. They smell wonderful. Okay, so what you're looking for here is for the edges to be nice and set and for the center to still be soft. And then you want the bottom to be a nice golden brown, even though on a chocolate cookie, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's not burnt, so we're good. We're gonna let them sit on the tray for another 10 minutes to let them finish setting before we move them onto the cooling rack to finish cooling. While the chocolate cookies are cooling, we'll go ahead and get started on the strawberry cheesecake cookies. And it starts out very much like the chocolate ones did. We'll start with 1 1/4 cup of almond flour. We'll follow that up with the 1/2 cup, 60 grams of the strawberry cheesecake protein powder. And then a 1/2 cup of the allulose. Now, one thing I do want to call out really quick on this protein powder is the fact that PE Science has this 5 serving size bag available. It's an excellent option if you aren't sure about the flavor and you want to try it out, or if you just don't want a big giant collection of protein tubs and you just want to buy enough for your recipe. That's an option too. I'll make sure I link both sizes down below. Next, we want to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We want to have 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum, followed by 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to sift this all up and I'll be right back. On the wet ingredients for this one, we're not quite as aggressive with the butter, so we only have 1/3 cup of butter that we're going to start off with on this one. We're going to follow that up with 1 egg. And we have 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Followed by 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then finally, we have 3 tablespoons of strawberry syrup. Now, and today I'm using the Walbury brand, and hopefully I'm saying that right, but I do like this one because it's a very nice thick strawberry syrup, so it's quite tasty. I have also used, what's this one? The Maple Grove brand, and it is just thinner, but it does have a good strawberry flavor to it, so it works just as well if you can't find this one. Okay, so we're gonna blend this up and I'll be right back. So we're gonna pour the wet ingredients into the dry, just like we did with the chocolate cookie. We're gonna stir it up till it's just wet and combined, and we're gonna stick it in the refrigerator for 10 minutes so that the almond flour can soak everything in, just like we did with the chocolate cookies. But while this one is in the refrigerator, we're gonna make our cheesecake topping. So we'll go ahead and stick this in the fridge. For the cheesecake topping, we're just gonna start off with 3 ounces of room temperature softened cream cheese. We're gonna add in 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar substitute. Now for the powdered sugar substitute, I am using the Wholesome Yum brand. I use several of their products, the allulose, the almond flour. I really like their liquid allulose. They have been so gracious enough to provide the audience with a discount code, so I will drop that below in the description, but it's going to be She Preps Smart 10, and that will give you 10% off of your order. What I did fail to mention on the strawberry syrup is that Wholesome Yum came out with their own line of flavored syrups last month. They have blueberry, strawberry, and raspberry. I do have mine on order. This just won't be here till Friday. So if you are placing an order, you might want to check out their strawberry syrup for this recipe. All right, so let's go ahead and mix this up. And the cream cheese is pretty softened, so it's really just kind of combining in the vanilla extract with the powdered sugar. But if you think it's too thick, or if you just want to thin it out a little bit, maybe it hasn't thawed completely, then you can just add a touch of the heavy cream to it, and it'll help mix that rest of that up for you. All right, our strawberry cheesecake dough is now ready to form some cookies. It's gonna be second verse, same as the first. We're just gonna use our cookie scoop and scoop it out on the tray here. Now, since this cookie has a topping, we're gonna do the top a little bit different. So I'm just gonna use my thumb and wet it and kind of make a little bit of an indentation in the cookie, so that way it can hold the cream cheese topping. So to fill the cookies, I like to just use a couple of spoons. So I will spoon a little bit out and push it into the cookie that way. And as it cooks, it's gonna melt and kind of spread out a little bit. So it doesn't need to be perfect in there. So we're gonna pop these in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes, and I also did these on a double cookie sheet. So we'll see you back in about 10 minutes. And now we have strawberry cheesecake protein cookies. Oh, those look yummy. All right, we're gonna let them cool on the tray for about 10 minutes so that they can set before we move them onto the cooling rack. And especially with these, because they have that cheesecake topping, they're a little bit softer on the top, so you definitely don't want to fuss with them for at least 10 minutes. Go ahead and transfer these over to the cooling rack. And while I do that, just to let you know, all of my recipes are loaded in MyFitnessPal. So I'll put the details down below in the description on how to look those up. I'll also have a link down there for the printable. Now let's go ahead and give these a taste and see how they turned out. We'll start with the chocolate one. Break it open. Oh, nice and soft. That little chocolate chip is kind of melty there. Nice and rich and chocolatey. Just like chocolate cake. I just love these cookies. They're very good. All right, strawberry cheesecake. Not my favorite flavor, but I do actually like these cookies. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a taste. I love the cream cheese on the top. It just makes it so creamy, and it's a nice contrast to the cookie itself. The strawberry flavor comes through nice and strong. This is a very tasty cookie. Now on the chocolate cookie, that one came in at 5 grams of protein, 3 grams of net carbs, and 127 calories. And you can store those in an airtight container out on the countertop. They do not have to be refrigerated. Now the strawberry cheesecake cookies came in at 5 grams of protein, 2 grams of net carbs, and 106 calories. Those do need to be stored in the refrigerator in an airtight container due to the cream cheese topping. And there you have it, 2 new recipes to help you use up some of those protein flavors you might have sitting around. I'm also going to drop you in a playlist right here for sweets and treats because there's some muffin recipes in there that'll definitely use up some of that protein powder. If you find something that you like, I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching my video.